welcome from that. I hope you enjoyed that short break. And Dr. James Komolafe always giving us those very important well-being tips, telling you how to do your checkup from the neck up to be good neck down. Well, I listened. Well, the world has been trying to recognize the Living Kidney Donor Day. There's so much when it comes to donation of kidney, there's so much myths around it. And recently the world has been looking into living kidney donor and what it really entails. What do you stand to benefit? Are there risks involved? All the myths would be discussed here, right here on the program. And we have very important people in the medical sector in the studio with us to discuss what it entails, what it's about, why you shouldn't be afraid, especially after the Ikweremadu saga. Everybody now, I don't know if that story helped, the whole idea of donation. Well, we'll get to discuss all of that. And in the studio with me is Dr. Ibrahim Wada. He's the CEO NISA Premier Group. He's also a Talban Jiwa. Thank you so much for being part of the program.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
I hope I pronounced it right.
You got it.
Thank you. We also have Dr. Obi Ekwena, founder Clarion Call Care Foundation, associate professor in the University of Toledo, Ohio in the United States. It's wonderful to have you join us.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Right, now Africa and donating in general. I know I used to join the advocacy for even blood donation, and it's often such a big deal. When you say you donate, it's often a big deal. But what has your work been? I think I'll start with Dr. Wada. How has it been getting people to understand the concept of donation?
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here. And to say that my role in it is mainly administrative, because I'm a gynecologist and support it. So a lot of the technical details will come from the expert in the house, Dr. Obi. And the first thing to say is, if people see things happening safely and they see there are no major consequences for them, negative consequences at all, the stigma goes away, people start to trust. And I think that is the whole idea of a day, to honor and recognize those who've made the quantum leap to say, look, someone is ill, they need my help, I have two organs that I know I need only one. If I part with one of them, I'll still be alive, but someone else has a chance to be alive as well. And you see, it works for you. You're enjoying your life, your profession, your social life, your marital life, your everything life has not been touched. And the population sees more and more of these people and say, like it's happening in the outside world, if I may say, the first world, it's not a big deal because they've seen it over and over again. And I'm here to support that idea. As an organization, NISA is very, very proud to partner with Clarion Call and Dr. Obi in particular. And we are open. Anything that can advance medicine and the acceptance of life-saving measures in this country, you got to count us in.
Of course. And Dr. Obi, what would you say about, relating with Nigerians and talking about donation? It's often a no place to go.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not unique to Nigerians, that there's some, mystery around donation. As you said, as you opened, even blood, there are stories where, there's a child or, a young person who is asked to donate their blood. And they're like, man, if I donate my blood, am I still going to live? Right? And then they finally donate their blood and then they live. Right?
Yeah.
So, just even to that basic level, just getting blood donations sometimes can be, mysterious in a way. But once people see that, as Dr. Wada said, once people see that it's happening and there's a routine, then it's like, okay, we can do this. I compare it to aviation. So people fly around the world, that fly around the country, and now people can get on a plane and feel comfortable that, hey, I can fly from Maiduguri to Lagos safely. I can go from here to Kenya or go anywhere in the world safely. And so but there has to be regulation around that.
Right.
Because we're talking about people's lives, especially when it comes down to kidney transplant. So a kidney donation or organ donation. So it has to be done in a way that secures everybody.
Doctor, it might be jokingly, but you often hear Nigerians say, oh, okay, I'm really broke and I have 2 kidneys. I'm just wasting it right there. And we both know that at no point should you sell. So I know there's serious advocacy going on. How do you even reach these young people? And also, while answering that, I will also mention a report that was done recently on a hospital that was alleged to be rife in such activities.
Okay. I may not comment about any special case, but my comments would be general. I remember when I was a kid, well, much younger.
Much younger.
Medical school, and you know Stout and blood donation. I don't know if you made any connection. That was a kind of reward to say, oh, if you donate your blood, you can get it replaced because that looks like blood. By the way. I remember, but we don't do that anymore because the idea is accepted now. I don't know the history of how it is in different countries, but I do know that the basic principle is we are too priceless to sell a part of ourselves. It doesn't make any sense to say, oh, I will sell you my kidney, I will sell you my this and that. So let us even have that foundation that there is no monetary compensation that can ever be enough. So the world came together and said, the motivation for you to do it must be beyond personal gains. It must be something you want to do for the good of humanity. So let there be no doubt that there's consensus on that. Now, if, for example, I go to give my kidney, I need time off work.
Right.
For sure. I'm also at the back of my mind thinking, what if something else happens to me that needs 2 kidneys, God forbid, will I be all right? Is there any security, safety net around this act? Yes, I'm going to give life to somebody, but how are you going to safeguard my life if anything happens to me? So I've said 2 things. Loss of earnings, because you can't be both working and at the same time going through surgeries, and a period of recovery, maybe a period of checks and balances to be sure that you've landed safely on this. So how do we cover that? Would be the question. Not how do we pay you for donating your kidney. And I think those 2 are separate discussions. You can't put a price on a kidney, but you can put a price on Dr. Wada earns 5,000 naira a month. He's going to take 4 or 5 months off because of this. What organization or government can support him in this decision? His health care for the next 2 years, 3 years, what organization can support it? Just to give him that confidence and reassurance to help someone else. So, like I said, I wouldn't go into
specifics. I mean, I understand.
Many countries, many nations face this issue of organ trafficking. I'm happy we have NAPTIP. And medical people need to work together with NAPTIP to not breach the line for the good of our country and the citizenry. So I mean, that's how I see it. So I want.
Okay, I would like you to respond before we go to the interview where we also had living donors. We interviewed them. So what's your take on organ trafficking and on the unfortunate attendant effect?
Absolutely. I mean, I think what Dr. Wada said is just right on, right? First of all, I'll talk about, living donation, is an incredible act, of love, of compassion. And from a technical standpoint, so from, someone comes to me, hey, doc, I want to donate my kidney. There's a thorough evaluation that has to be done, so there's a proper way, a standardized way of doing these things. And again, I go back to aviation, flying, right? So if you want to get on a plane, you want to get on a plane that will land.
Exactly.
Right? And there's checks and balances that have to be done properly so that you get on that plane and you know that it's going to land, right? Because it's not without risk. Flying is you know, it's pretty safe now compared to what it was before. So living donation is safe. For somebody to come up, I tell people that come to me that want to donate their organ, that if you go through the workup, if you go through the checklist of you got to do this, got to do this, got to do this, got to do this, once you get through that, then the risk of anything bad happening to you is almost nil, is almost zero, right? That's why we do it, right? Because it has to be very safe for the person. And so what are some of those things that we do? Well, we do a thorough medical evaluation from head to toe. Okay, so depending on the age of the person, there are certain things that we have to do to make sure that their heart is fine, that their both kidneys are good, that if they give away one kidney, that one kidney will carry them for the rest of their life, for example. Okay, and particularly in this environment, you know, we're of black descent, African descent, and there's certain tests that we have to really do to make sure that people are not at risk for disease.
Okay.
Right? Making sure that they don't have diabetes, that, you know, even if they have high blood pressure, that is very well controlled. That the genetics, you know, we do a genetic test. We're probably one of the only centers, I mean, you know, at NISA, probably one of the only centers in the country that does a genetic test to make sure that the donor doesn't have any genetic predisposition to kidney disease, right? Because we may not know, but we do those tests.
Right.
You know, so we go, you know, we put the donor through very thorough testing to make sure that that it is safe for them. Because I, as the surgeon, I'm the one that's gonna put my knife on the patient. So I have to make sure, and the medical team,
of course, right.
Right, obviously, have to make sure that this person, once they get on the table, donate their organ, that they're going to do fine from the surgery standpoint. And then long term, as Dr. Wada was saying, you know, we have to, as a society, you know, society has a responsibility, right? Why do people donate? Well, they're donating because somebody else needs to live, okay? 9 out of 10 patients in Nigeria who are on dialysis at 3 months die. So 90% of patients, if you have 100 people that start dialysis today, after 3 months, 90% of them will be gone. Only one person will be alive. And there's reasons for that. We can go into that a little bit. So kidney donation in Nigeria is a life-saving gesture. It actually saves lives. I mean, unlike, you know, in the US, you know, people can be on dialysis for a long time, but here dialysis is very expensive, so folks end up, you know, succumbing to their disease. I mean, you know, there's a lot to unpack there, but the point is, how do we combat organ trafficking? By putting out how to do it properly, right? We got to have a standard of how to do it. We got to tell the community that this is how it's done, and we have to honor the people that actually have done this. Right?
Speaking about honoring the people, we had that interview with some donors who would share that experience. That report will go on now. When we return, we still have so much to discuss. Are we there yet when it comes to writing in a card that should anything happen to me, an accident, I can donate my organ? Well, we'll discuss that after this report.
In my case, I will say my motivation was, it was to my mom. She was an awesome human being. So it was just easy to donate to her. Because in my case, if I was the one that was sick, my mom would not think about it. She would do it. So
when did this happen?
This happened 9 years ago.
And since then, how's life been? Do you encounter any stigma? Do you encounter snide remarks from I mean, loved ones?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Is there any kind of psychological break you feel?
No. Like I said, it's 9 years. I've been very okay. Never fallen sick because I donated a kidney, and no stigma. I don't. Instead, I would say people are really proud of my action, and no sickness.
Now there are many misconceptions about these donations and all that. A lot of people that wanted to donate, they are afraid. So what message do you have for them?
It depends. Why are they scared? They think they will die.
Misconception, yes, something like
I'm here 9 years. Hello. So I think people are afraid because they don't understand, and then maybe they are afraid because they are not donating from a place of love. That motivates you. When you have love, you care for humanity, you don't think about it, you just do it.
Okay, do you feel it shouldn't be monetized?
Oh no, not at all. It's a selfless thing. For example, if you need a kidney, if I had a third one, I wouldn't think about it, because you're giving hope to someone. I don't think you should take money for that. If you're able to put yourself in people's shoes, trust me, money will not be a primary reason why you want to donate. For the past 9 years, I do kidney tests and checkup every 6 months. But honestly, I'm just like I'm just like anybody, because like they said, kidneys, you have 2 kidneys, you can survive on one. There are some people that are born on only 1 kidney and they're good. I don't feel any different. I'm the same person before my donation, I'm the same person after my donation. I don't feel any different.
Do you have anything to say to the government in view of this, probably to encourage or to discourage?
To the government, I will say that they need to support kidney disease patients, because they go through a lot before they even think about transplant. They spend a lot of money, dialysis and kidney care. So if the government can set up to step up to kind of influence assistance for kidney failure patients, it will be nice. And then for you out there, I will encourage you, donating a kidney is not anything to be scared of. It is just a way of putting yourself in somebody's shoes. If you want to live, you will do everything to make sure you live, right? So you will just give your kidney. It's a spare one.
Can we get your name?
Evelyn Abraxon.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Welcome back from that. It's wonderful to hear from her talk about how she donated to her mom, and those are some stories. But I also commend her. A lot of people would never come to admit it. I know some people who would rather not have it out there in the public. So it's good to have her, you know, confidently telling everybody that this is something you can do, as long as just as much as you want to live, the next person wants to, and for humanity's sake, you should do that. In the studio, we still have Dr. Obi Ekwena, founder Clarion Call Care Foundation. We have Dr. Ibrahim Wada, CEO NISA Premier Group. Thank you, gentlemen, for still being here. At least I've not scared you off. So we're having some conversations behind the scene, and I would like to bring that up. Where are we legislatively speaking when it comes to, you know, deciding to donate your kidneys? Should you be in a fatal accident or terminally ill over something else? What's the legislation like in Nigeria?
We are at the very early stages of it, if anything. The awareness is building. And the next step is, if you do decide, where can that be done? So, and that's part of what Dr. B and his colleagues are trying to support Nigeria with. You see, the technical ability to actually implement your consent
Right.
is available. So I also believe that it's something that the community need to talk about and legislate and say, if Dr. Wada says take my kidney when I'm gone, for whatever reason, if it's good enough, this is within a legal framework.
Right.
Nobody stands to be accused of breaching the law or doing unholy things with the kidney and so on. So I will follow up to know where we are at the National Assembly, but I also want to appreciate the fact that at the federal executive level, I'm aware that the Federal Ministry of Health has sponsored discussions amongst experts to produce national guidelines for kidney care, transplantation and all that, which the Honorable Minister was kind to be represented by Dr. Shoreti Re, the Director in Emergencies, recently at the Living Donor Day, explaining that on the part of government, they are addressing what they can to make it easy for those who want to donate, and make it easy for those who have the capability to do the procedures to thrive in this country. And I think that's commendable first step. The rest is now media demystifying,
exactly,
and talking to people who've done it and they're alive and healthy, and then it gives courage to say, if I can do it when I'm alive, I will do it. More so, if I'm no more alive, let me give life to somebody else.
Exactly. So, Dr. Ikwe, now, when you hear this dire statistics, over doctor had said people who go into dialysis, 90% of those do not last longer than 3 months. That's really unfortunate. When you hear all of this, what would you say the Clarion Call Foundation hopes to gain from this collaboration with NISA Premier?
Absolutely. So, so Clarion Call, well, first of all, as you mentioned, let me talk about kidney disease, right? So kidney disease is very prevalent around the world. And, in some places, people say, that in Nigeria, for example, maybe 10% of people have kidney disease. So 10% of 200 million, that's 20 million people, right? That's a lot of people. 20 million have chronic kidney disease. And then, when you kind of drill down and say, okay, then how many of those 20 million need a kidney? Maybe, let's say 1 million. Let's just say it's 1 million people in Nigeria may need a kidney, a replacement for what their kidney does. And so, how do you replace a kidney? Well, you go on dialysis, because if you don't go on dialysis, then, the person is destined to die very quickly. Okay, so dialysis is a bridge to life, basically. So dialysis provides about, let's say, 15% of what a normal kidney does.
Right.
Right, and patients who are on dialysis have to do dialysis 3 times a week in a normal, in our setting. In the United States, it's 3 times a week. So now, in Nigeria, most patients may do dialysis once a week because of the cost. Right? So it's prohibitive, right? So it's almost a death. It is a death sentence to be on dialysis in Nigeria because it's very expensive, and we could talk about the cost of doing that. And probably from my standpoint as an expert or someone who's been doing kidney care for a long time, even from a government standpoint, it's very expensive. The government may not be able to support everybody, for 1 million people. That's a lot of money, from a cost standpoint. So that means, from my standpoint, that it's important to get patients transplanted, right? Because transplant is less expensive. It gives the person life. It gives them a quality of life. They're not going to be on dialysis, right? They can become productive in society, right? And in Nigeria, it's usually, the Transplant Association of Nigeria have stated that patients who are on dialysis are the most productive members, or the age group is, they're very young, right? So you're talking about patients in their 20s and maybe 50s, between 20, and that's
when they have the energies to be productive to society.
That's the most productive people. So obviously, it's very important that the government plays a role, and I'm glad to hear that is happening, and I know that's happening. So living donation is what we have in Nigeria. Deceased donation, which is what you're talking about, when somebody passes away or is not able to, we can say that they are brain dead and they may not be able to live anymore, or they're basically not alive. They will have to consent, when they're alive, that they want to participate in saving somebody else's life. So there are definitely nuances, there are details in making sure that this is done in a safe way and an ethical way in the country. So.
Well, now that you've cleared that, let's talk about your collaboration with the NISA Premier. What would be need for people living with kidney diseases?
Right. So, Clarion Call, has been working with NISA for years now, providing transplant services for patients who need kidney transplant. And in addition to that, we collaborate on this Living Donor Day, which we started last year. The first one was last year around this time, and we're continuing to do that. This year we got the Transplant Association of Nigeria to participate. We got, the Honorable Minister, was able to send his representative to participate. And so we're working to create awareness. We're working to create education. We're working to advocate for patients who have kidney disease, right? And get them treated, right? Get them a kidney transplant. We perform transplants at the NISA hospital. And we're working to recognize people who have donated. Right? Because when you see someone who's done it, right, and who did it the proper way, as has been mentioned earlier, then it encourages others, right? And it's also a way for us to combat some of these unethical things that we hear about, right? Because, hey, who wants to fly a plane? Again, who if you know that, hey, this plane gets you there, right? This is what you have to do to get there.
You would naturally want to do that.
That's the way you want to go, right? Because and you say everybody else is doing it this way, then you do it that way. And it's not to say, let me not minimize that organ trafficking it's not just happening in Nigeria. Organ trafficking is happening in all parts of the world. When you have poverty, when you have vulnerable people, you can think of any situation, the black market, when there's a demand and supply imbalance, there's a black market. That it doesn't matter what it is.
Exactly.
Right? So it doesn't matter, just name what it is. So there's there's demand and supply mismatch with transplantation. There's a lot of people, I just told you, maybe 1 million people need a kidney transplant. How many people we have donated, right? So that creates an imbalance, and therefore there's a black market.
Exactly.
So it's not that we will eliminate the black market, but we hope we can. But we want to put it out there. This is how you do it. This is how it should be done. And then, hopefully then we can help more people to live by, getting more people to donate and tackle that menace, so to speak.
So, Dr. Wada, somebody's listening to us right now and probably wants to donate, not because he has a family member or friend who needs it, so that they do not fall into unscrupulous elements around that. I don't know if there's a bank. Is there one? And if not, what's the process for somebody who says, I have 2 kidneys, I know a lot of people need this. I would like to donate.
Yeah. I think what we are striving to achieve is that there is a face that faces the public for that. You don't really have to rush to a hospital. It's one of the functions of Clarion Call.
Right.
To say, look, I approach you. If there's a donor, if there's anyone who needs my kidney, I'm ready to part with it. And so this soft landing gives every information, pre-hospital information needed, counseling, support, whatever. And then, of course, if they find that it's a positive activity, that's when the hospital gets involved. So how to perfect that is probably what we're going to look at in the next few days and weeks to say, look, is there a number you can call in privacy and confidentiality to say, look, I'm thinking I could do to help this lots of people who are in need. I'm quite happy. And also, how is it done? What happens to me afterwards? You know, because I may not be able to work. How do I feed my family? How do I support myself? What about my long-term health? I mean, facing Clarion Call will give you a lot of that information.
Right.
And then they can say, okay, this is a concluded matter. Then
they come to you
to match the recipient to the donor in a very ethical, safe, reassuring way, like you have seen the people who have gone through it coming out in confidence to say, look, it's something you can do.
Right.
And you're not going to be like totally neglected after, which is what the black market is all about, that you are in need for parting with your kidney. After that, you're living on your own. This system we're talking is far, far more humane, far, far more like engaging. These people donated 2-3 years ago, they're still within the network.
Right.
So it's not a bye-bye thing. And it gives people confidence. So we will try and perfect the legal way of opening a channel to people who want to do it and they're not being exploited in any which way.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there something you would like to add?
No, I think that's a great point. I mean, for when we started Clarion Call, the idea was just, we want to help patients who need kidney transplant. We want to, honor folks that have transplant, that have donated. We want to, work with different arms, private sector, the government, to create policies on how to protect living donors, right? And I think as we're evolving, the question you kind of pointed was, people who, what we call altruistic donors. So somebody who just out of the bottom of their heart. We had a gentleman who actually talked, who was an altruistic donor. He just wanted to do something nice for somebody, and he went out and he donated his kidney, 4 years ago. So those altruistic donors, right? Somebody who just wants to do something out of the goodness of their heart, we can become, I think what we're talking about here is that we can, there has to be a place for that person to go to. And it's typically, in the United States, the way it happens is that that person can go to a transplant center.
Right.
Right? Reach out to a transplant center and, call a right number, and then that hospital has to go through the process, an ethical way of evaluating that person and making sure that everything is done well. So there are organizations that do this as well, and we're happy to participate in doing that. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming to, give us this clear picture of what it takes to donate. It is not a death sentence, and indeed you can still live your life after donating a kidney. Thank you for the work that you do. Thank you, Dr. Wada. Thank you, Dr. Obi Ekwena, for being part of the program. I hope we will join you in your advocacy. Anytime you need people to know, we're right here to help out. Thank you for being part of the program.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
To be here.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
It's been wonderful talking about the living donors and how you too can be a donor without necessarily having those very primordial fears that some of us usually accommodate. But well, we have to move on now, as we're going to join the Investment Plus team with their wonderful financial management tips. You would agree with me. This is the best time to get financial management tips. As my people will say, the pressure is getting worse. We'll be right back after that.